Today's video will emphasize a point I made briefly in one of my earlier videos, that nearly everyone on Earth will be eligible to participate in the Mission to Mars program and try to get themselves to Mars. This idea is in sharp contrast to the NASA astronaut idea that only an elite few can get into space. From a cynical perspective, I suppose you could say that the main reason for this egalitarian plan is to ensure the mission to Mars gets its 50,000 participants sooner rather than later. If few, if any, are rejected, then the prospects for participation at the Earth Embassy is enhanced. While this may be true in a sense, I would also suggest that one of the bases of the mission to Mars is that it intends to be egalitarian, not elitist, so allowing most anyone who desires to get into space and to Mars to be accepted at the Earth Embassy. In any case, a self-sustaining economy, either at the Earth Embassy or on Mars, requires that all kinds of people become colonists, not just the few with advanced degrees in science or engineering. Thus, the central idea that we should allow anyone willing to work into the Earth Embassy is so that we offer opportunities for the downtrodden of the world to escape the poverty, oppression, and misery of their current circumstances. If such people are willing to work, they will not only be welcome at the Earth Embassy and later on Mars, but almost certainly they will be able to make significant contributions to the effort to colonize the Red Planet. Just as in the early days of the US, anyone willing to take a chance will be given a place at the Earth Embassy. And, as in the early days of America, there will be no welfare state to support such people. They will need to work to support themselves, or they will need to leave the Earth Embassy. Another reason beyond these first two that anyone should be allowed to join the mission to Mars follows directly from the second one. If one is to build self-sustaining economies at both the Earth Embassy and on Mars, all sorts of workers will be needed. Janitors will be needed just as much as doctors. Mars will need laborers for construction work just as much as it will need the engineers and accountants to organize and run those businesses. If NASA standards are imposed and everyone needs to have 2 master's degrees and a military background, then you will have a Mars with lots of chiefs and no Indians. That obviously will not work. Okay, let's go into this anyone can join idea a little more. What if someone shows up in a wheelchair, is 78 years old, or has a serious but treatable disease? My opinion is that such persons should also be welcomed. Remember, everyone who desires to enter the program must sign a ticket contract and have a job at the Earth Embassy. Thus, this individual, even if not in perfect health, can contribute to the program and, once the ticket is paid off and a seat on a transporter vessel secured, travel to Mars to join the other colonists. Remember, this person would have already proven herself to be able to contribute to the mission to Mars by earning and paying off her ticket to Mars. That can only be done by having a job at the Earth Embassy and getting paid for her economic contribution there. If she then fits into a category of person needed on Mars, go back to my videos on the ticketing program and being issued a seat on a transporter vessel, then she should get that seat to Mars. As for the woman's health issues and age, these matters cannot be answered specifically. If she is still young enough and still desires to get to Mars after her ticket is paid off, possibly in her early 90s, then let her go, she earned it. If for no other reason, studying the effects of space travel and Mars's gravity on the elderly will be valuable information for the colonists there. As for health, I would hope that one aspect of the Mission to Mars program will be to partner with hospitals willing to provide specialized care for someone with a treatable, if unique, health issue. I have not discussed the matter of blocking a ticket holder from traveling to Mars if adequate medical care is not yet available there, but I will assume some provisions can be made by both the individual and the Confederation for these cases. Remember, individuals choosing to participate in Mission to Mars activities are doing so as a matter of individual choice. A person who has earned the seat on a transporter vessel can choose to travel there, even if the medical facilities on Mars or on the transporter may make such a decision risky. I suppose another sidebar here will also be useful. If a multi-millionaire shows up and says, "I want to buy my ticket to Mars today," will such a person be given a ticket on the next transporter vessel? No! There are at least two important reasons for this. First, people will need to be trained to live in space and on Mars. Such training will take time, probably years. Without such training, people will not be allowed on a transporter vessel. Second, the early decades on Mars will be difficult enough without having someone with a problematic personality on the Red Planet, or who offers only money, but no skills in the new colonies. This last point encompasses two ideas really. Not only must those with problem personalities be weeded out, but the new Martian settlements need people with skills. A person who has not demonstrated an ability to get along with others should not be given an early flight to Mars. Neither should a person whose economic value on Mars is limited be offered an early seat to the Red Planet. There may be a program that can make some accommodation for people who can greatly grease the economic wheels of the mission to Mars. Going back to Elon Musk again, if he helps greatly with the financing of the project, there might be a special program for him. He would still be required to train as appropriate, however, and also to demonstrate that he would not be a psychological burden on either the transporter or on Mars. As with the elderly woman just discussed, however, special accommodations can be made in a few select cases. And, if it turns out that the cost of including some category of person is hindering the overall project, then decisions can be made to fix that problem. If, for example, there are lots of people joining who have little education, and this is bogging down the effort to get to Mars, then perhaps some educational standards can be introduced. Or if there are lots of people with health issues that cannot be easily dealt with during the first few decades on the Red Planet, then this too will need to be taken into account. The main idea, however, is that Mars should be for everyone willing to work to get there. Not just a few select engineers and scientists who have managed to work the NASA or some other system to get to the Red Planet. If the mission to Mars accepts virtually anyone at the Earth Embassy, and if such persons pay off their ticket to Mars, and then fits into a category of person wanted for Mars, then there is no reason why virtually anyone on Earth could not make a decision to join the mission to Mars and find themselves one day walking on that Red Planet.